Hi guys, this is Gurneet. In today's video, we are going to learn about VLOOKUP function in Excel. So let's first understand what is a VLOOKUP function. So a VLOOKUP function, it performs a vertical lookup by searching for a value in the first column of a table and returning the value in the same row in the index number position. Meaning that, for example, you have a table in Excel sheet, right? And you want to search for a particular value in the first column, right? So what you will do, you will mention that value to the VLOOKUP formula. Now that value that it will return, it will be mentioned in the index number position. So it will give us the result according to that index number position. It will be more clear using the syntax. So as you can see that the VLOOKUP syntax is VLOOKUP value table index number and the approximate match, right? So a value is nothing but the value that you need to search for in the first column of a table. For example, that we have this table with the fruits data set, right? So you can see that if I want to search for a value, for example, if I want, okay, right now the data set is quite small, so it's very easy for you to locate the values, right? But what if this data would have thousands of records, right? So in that case, what we can do, we have the order ID. So what I'll do is, in my value, I'll just mention 10249, right? So I will give up the value as 10249, right? And then in my table, I will give my range of the whole table, right? And in my index number, what I'll mention is what value do I need to find. So what it will do for the 10249, which is the order ID, right? I want to see, I will mention the column number. For example, for this particular order, I want to see what is the quantity with which it was ordered, right? So I will just mention the column number, which is 4 in this case, right? As you can see, order ID is first column, second column, third column, and quantity is the fourth column. So I will just write down fourth column. And approximate match means that we have just two values. If I want to have an exact match, right? So in that case, I will just write down false, right, for the exact match, because the name, as you can see, it is approximate match, but I want to find the exact match, I will mention a false, right? But if I want a true, if I want a approximate match for the value, then it will give me a false value. I will just mention a true over here, but I just want an exact match, so I will mention false in this case. So let's understand this using the example. So what it will do, for example, I want to see, I will insert the function, right, VLOOKUP, and now I want to see the lookup value, right? So the first column, it will search for in the first column as per the definition, right? So the first column is order ID, so I will just mention 10249, right? Then the table array, so I will mention the dimensions of the table, which is A and 1 till $D again 6. So this is my whole table, right? Then the column index number. Now what, for this corresponding order ID, what value do I want to search, right? So I can just use the column C, which is the unit price. So it is a third column, so I'll write down third, right? And the range lookup, I'll mention the false. And you can see in this range lookup also, it's a logical value. So to find the closest match in the first column, right, you have to write down true, which is the approximate match. Or find an exact match, for that case you have to mention a false statement, right? So if I click OK, you can see that for the order 10249, it has given me the 9.80 unit price, right? I can also change values over here. How? Let me show you. So instead of third column, I'll mention second column, right? So you can see that it has given me the product, what product is associated with the order ID 10249. So in this case, we use a VLOOKUP formula. We can use VLOOKUP in many cases also. For example, if I want to find out for a corresponding ID, like not just okay, so what happens is that write down, I'll again insert the function VLOOKUP, and then VLOOKUP value, I'll mention 10251, right? If I mention 10251, so I'll write down 10251, right? And in my table array, I will mention again my dimensions. So $A, $6, 1 till fourth column, so and 6. So this is my whole table range, and the column index number, like let's understand the quantity. So I'll write down 4, right? So I want for this corresponding ID, I want the quantity. So I'll write down range lookup again false and click OK. So you can see that it has given me what, 9. So that means for the order ID, 10251, this one, it is a peers, that is a product, but I want to see the quantity. Like for this particular order, what was the quantity, right? So this was the problem statement. So in that case, I will mention that this is the index number, is the corresponding value that we want to search for, right? So I mentioned that, okay, I in this particular order ID, I want how many quantity was ordered, right? So in that case, this. But for example, if you have a, it also gives you a false value. Like for example, I'll show you now. As you can see, right now it's very easy for us to understand that, okay, these are the order IDs that we want to search for. But what if I write down 102 10248? Now you can see that there is no value 10248 in the order ID, but let's just find out what happens if we write down. Because in the 1,000 sets of records, you can't just write down, you cannot just look for every order ID, right? You will just use a random value. So how will you know whether it will find up a value or not? So again, I'll mention the uh, range of the table, D till 6, right? So this is my whole table, and I want to see the product, right? So product, I'll write down 2 column, right? And the range lookup false, right? So now if I write down okay, you can see that it has given me an error. This means that if it's throwing you an error, that means there is no such product only. Since there was no order ID naming 10248, so it did not fetch me any result, right? And if I even write down true also here, it will give me an approximate match. So what happens in a true case, that it has given me an approximate match. For example, in 47, I wrote 47, like 48, right? So it gave me the previous result. So it gave me that, okay, there is no such match for the exact that ID, but it has an approximate match. So it gave me the result as apples, right? So but if I want the exact match, right? So in that case, I'll write down false, and it will give me a error. It will throw an error. That means there is no exact match for this particular order ID. But if I want an approximate match, because sometimes you do not remember the exact order ID, right? So in that case, what it will do, it will fetch me the approximate result, the result which is near that particular order ID, right? So in this case, it gave me 10247th result, which is the apples, right? So I hope the VLOOKUP formula is clear. So let's summarize it. So VLOOKUP formula, what it does is that it will search for the first column, right? And it will give me the corresponding value or corresponding result of that particular value in our index number position, right? So index number, you will just mention what particular column you want to fetch. So if I have given a particular column value in my order ID, like for example 10250, so it will search for the 10250 in the value one, and in my index number I will mention what particular value, if for that particular order, what unit price or product or quantity, what I want to search for that particular order ID. So in that case, we use a VLOOKUP. So I hope VLOOKUP formula is clear. Thanks for watching.